You do not need to fight your thoughts to change your life. And in fact, the more you resist them, the more you keep them alive. And that's what Neville Goddard shows us in his chapter 8, a renunciation. Welcome, you guys. Welcome to our The Power of Awareness book reading, where we look on Neville's work with nervous system lens. If you want the entire chapter reading, here's the card on the screen. You can click there. All right. So let's begin. There is no coal of character so dead that it will not glow and flame if but slightly turned. There is a great difference between resisting evil and renouncing it. When you resist evil, you give it your attention. You continue to make it real. When you renounce evil, you take your attention from it and give your attention to what you want. Now is the time to control your imagination. All right, so I want to say that the entire chapter is summarized in here, in this very paragraph. This is the entire chapter here, because from nervous system perspective, this is very literal. Because when you resist something, you still stay engaged with it. You stay emotionally invested and activated. Your attention keeps returning to it over and over again, because resistance is continued involvement. Your system doesn't read, I do not want this. It only reads it as this matters. So if you implement control, it will mark it as important. All right? You give beauty for ashes when you concentrate your attention on things as you would like them to be rather than on things as they are. All right, so, and this is not about pretending here. I want to highlight it quickly because it's not about to force yourself to believe in something. It's about where your attention rests. This is what Neville means, because your attention stabilizes a state. It reinforces what feels normal, what feels real to you. And bit by bit, it trains your system what to return to. So if your attention is always on what is wrong, what is missing, and what feels still sort of unresolved, that becomes your baseline from which you live your life. You don't want that. So you should be more observant of where your attention rests. Okay? You give joy for mourning when you maintain a joyous attitude regardless of unfavorable circumstances. You give praise for the spirit of heaviness when you maintain a confident attitude instead of succumbing to despondency. Again, he's still quoting Bible here. He's trying to highlight the very fact that it doesn't mean that you should force yourself to feel good. It only means that you should not let your state be dictated by the outward experiences, by what current reality tells you is real, right? Because if your nervous system is constantly reacting to the external world, your attention will always be pulled outward and back into the same patterns, because your system dictates what to focus on and how to see the reality. Okay, let's continue. In this quotation, the Bible uses the word tree as a synonym for man. You become a tree of righteousness when the above mental states are a permanent part of your consciousness. You're a planting of the Lord when all your thoughts are true thoughts. He is I am, as described in chapter 1. I am is glorified when your highest concept of yourself is manifested. When you have discovered your own controlled imagination to be your savior, your attitude will be completely altered without any diminution of religious feeling. And you will say of your controlled imagination, behold this vine, I found it a wild tree, whose want of strength had swollen into irregular twigs. But I pruned the plant, and it grew temperate in its vain expanse of useless leaves, and knotted as you see into these clean full clusters to repay the hand that wisely wounded it. Yeah, so this is what renouncing actually looks like. It's not suppressing, it's not avoiding, but it's rather noticing where your attention is hooked, not following into the same story, okay, guys? And deliberately returning it gently to the state that you prefer. And this is the true regulation. It's never control, never control. Okay? By wine is meant your imagination, which, in its uncontrolled state, expends its energy in useless or destructive thoughts and feelings. But you, just as the vine is pruned by cutting away its useless branches and roots, prune your imagination by withdrawing your attention from all unlovely and destructive ideas and concentrating on the ideal you wish to attain. And this is a very precise image because I'm very glad that he added this in this chapter, because it it is showing that you should not try to destroy the entire wine. You're simply pruning it, which means you stop feeding certain branches, and over time they lose strength. Okay, so it's never controlling, it's just noticing and withdrawing your attention from it, discounting that. And from nervous system lens, your attention, if it follows tension, emotional charge, unresolved patterns, it will make something unwanted come back to you again and again. And it's not because you're doing something wrong. It is because your system still stays activated over that subject. And until that softens, your attention will keep returning to the same. Okay? The happier, more noble life you will experience will be the result of wisely pruning your own imagination. Yes, be pruned of all unlovely thoughts and feelings. So you do not need to fight what you do not want, you guys. You do not need to control every single thought. Again, I will repeat, please do not do not force yourself to control that, because you just need to notice where your attention is still invested and where you can gently withdraw it. That simply. Because whenever you stop feeding it, and by feeding it means even stop resisting it, it eventually will stop growing. That simple. So for the exercise, I would like you guys to do one thing. Before you retire to sleep, before you sleep tonight, I want you to really keep just think of what subject, what thoughts you keep returning to. And even if you do not want them, just name it, okay? Because it starts with clarity. You simply need to name what you do not want. Simply see it, not resist it, not try to control it and push it away, because it just turns your system into split system where there is you as a thinker and you as as someone who is conducting self-surveillance. You do not want that. It will just create inner tension. All you need to do is just name it and stop relating to it. I will give you my example. When I have some repeating thoughts of fear or guilt or shame, and they have nothing to do with reality, they just keep coming back. When I stopped relating to them, when I stopped fighting them and feeling shameful even of those thoughts, this is when I smooth it, I would call it molded it, if there is such a word. This is where I was able to quiet them a little bit down, because when you do not agree with something, you try to push it away, you only mark it as important. But when you just say, this is not mine, and the very fact that I do not want to be relating to that subject, it means that it's not yours. You have a free will in what you want and what you do not want. So stop relating to that subject, okay? Just withdraw your attention and gently also place on what you want instead. And bit by bit, it will redirect you to what you want to see and feel and emanate from you. There is never force. There is only allowing to feel what you want to feel. Okay? I will leave you with this and we'll see you in the next one.